Russell Preston passionately works to improve our built and natural environment. He's worked in Providence with Cornish Associates since 2003 as the firm's design associate and is a member of the board of directors of the Congress for New Urbanism.
So beginnings, I thought we'd begin in Rome. When I was living here, I lived right here. And this is when I realized that you could actually sit in the piazza all day and do nothing and feel like you did everything. So I started thinking about that and really wanted to understand, well, why does a city allow you to feel so good by the form and allow you to be actually so effective? And this is my hometown. This is quite literally the town center mall. This red line, 5-minute walk. So you saw it in Rome, you saw it here now. And I came back from Rome and started thinking, something's wrong. Very, very wrong. The whole landscape is completely different and it just started to feel foreign. And I wanted to know why, so I started to look at that and wanted to ask more questions about why. And here from the air, you can see very different typologies, massive, small and complex, simple, dumb, and very sophisticated. And that led me down a road, and I went to grad school and tried to figure out, well, how can we, how does this affect us now? And I started asking the question, well, what's sustainable? And for all you Prius owners out there, this is going to sting. It's not the car. The car is not the solution. It's actually this little thing here, the city. Transportation is right behind buildings for the amount of carbon produced. So if you put those both together and you be smart about it, we can actually solve our whole little globe thing, the problem we're having right now, with not building this crap. I mean, this is really unsophisticated, post-apocalyptic garbage that's being built all over the country, and we're exporting to Asia now. So you have to ask the question, well, what do we do now? If this is what we've been building for the last 50 years, well, should we go back and think about what they were doing in Rome? And it's led us down this road where we're just at the beginning where people are thinking about retrofitting the suburbs. And if you think about that from a green perspective or a lens, this is all built infrastructure. This is an example of how you take a foreclosed subdivision community and put a town center in it. This is an example of how you build a city on an old abandoned golf course. This is happening in Florida right now. People are thinking about this. So I've been doing work for about 6 years on one of these projects. This is 1960s Mashpee Commons. This is it today. We've put in roads. We've started to say, well, how do we take a village in the Cape that didn't have a center, and we build it? And we slowly over time started to say, well, what does it take to build a town? What are the things that people need? So this is another way of looking at it, how it exists today. Red is current. All the other stuff is planned. But everything's planned to walk to. You don't have to get in your car to buy a bottle of milk or to stumble home at the end of the night. Everything is within your grasp within a 5-minute walk. So these are some images of what that might look like, and they're kind of nostalgic. I can accept that. But that's what people are attracted to in the Cape. But you also then want to think, well, what did they do 100 years ago before they had air conditioning and before they had super high density insulation? Well, they built a certain way in that environment. So we've been looking at that, trying to understand, well, how can we take the lessons we've learned back there and apply them now? So this is another one of those neighborhoods that we're just working on. Here's the center that's currently built. This is the new neighborhood. And this is the first time we've approached a site plan with a green perspective, where we're leaving all the wetlands and all the green as park. We're starting to figure out how to filter stormwater and really integrate everything into one cohesive, interdependent system. And it's still got that look for Cape Cod, the stuff that people go to Cape Cod for. And it's of that place. So when 100 years go by, it still looks like it should be there, and people love it. Because that's what we all hear. We all love Providence because it looks a certain way, it feels a certain way. So how can you capture that into a master plan, into a new place? So this is really retrofitting the suburbs, because if we didn't build like this now, all this housing, all of these businesses would be out on the end of a cul-de-sac or in a big box development, not based on pedestrian and walking around the Cape like they've done hundreds of years, thousands of years, all over the country, all over the world. And then we're also introducing new things like townhouses, which goes into how do these places evolve. And if you go out and look at all of these towns, you can say, well, there's a more compact, more tight-knit, and it actually ends up that these can be more sustainable and more green than a single-family house because they share a party wall. So we're starting to figure out how we can weave that into the site plan. So next, also thinking about what can we do in the city. There are 20 acres, more than 20 acres of undeveloped surface parking lots in downtown Providence right now, before they move 195. That's our current context. So what do we do about that? We have to have private investment, and we have to have public investment. Kennedy Plaza and parking lots. This is just a quick sketch we did of what some of those parking lots might be developed into. Really thinking about the narrow streets of Providence, what's contextual, how do people want to live, how can we, build on that already successful image and identity that Providence has, without diluting it, without building crap we don't want. And then this is, I probably shouldn't have shown this, but this is what we're thinking about in Kennedy Plaza for this summer. Is, really trying to activate the space, get the public investment in. We're talking to RIPTA now about buying some stuff so we can vend and we can get people into the square, taking the police substation, putting it someplace that's more effective, and so we need that public investment so people understand the city and start to really love it even more. And this is the most exciting. This is the new market that's opening beginning of next month. That's a sketch I did during construction. This is it under construction. This is what it might look like. This is already in New Haven. So everyone should come by and check it out in a few weeks when it opens. So what's next? I've started to think about, well, how do we make all the stuff we learned from looking back at places like Rome and take it a step further with all our modern technology? And this little chart, we're always in the car. That's how I grew up. But places like Rome, New York, Providence, they're very, they're up on the ladder that's much more sustainable. But can we go a step further? Can we actually create places that are, more livable and more resilient? So this is an old golf course development in New England that we're just looking at and thinking, well, can we do, locally renewed power? Can we do zero waste? Can we make sure that everyone can walk to nature and walk to get a bottle of milk or whatever they want? Their daily needs are within reach. And it's within a transit hub. You could be on the Amtrak in less than 3-minute drive or a trolley ride. And this might be what it looks like. We're not sure, trolleys and everything. But it's kind of, this living urbanism idea. So it's a new thing. We're saying, well, how can we make our cities and towns better? And I want feedback. So let me know what you think.